Are you curious about what will happen in the housing market in 2021? There are so many videos with housing market forecasts that use shocking headlines about the coming collapse of the housing market that I felt it would be good to produce a fact-based forecast of the market that we'll see in 2021. I think the easiest way to do this is to quickly summarize how the market performed last year, look at the current supply and demand ratios, assess the major variables impacting the market, and then conclude with a reasonable expectation from that analysis. Does that make sense? Great. Then relax, kick up your feet, grab a cool drink, and watch as I take you through a shock-free, fact-based forecast of the 2021 housing market. For those viewers outside of Tallahassee, you should know that our market has always done a fair job of mimicking the prevailing trends in the overall U.S. housing market, so you can use Tallahassee as a fair bellwether for the overall market. Hi, I'm Joe Manausa, author of The Business of Getting Business and the creator of Manausa.com, where I have helped tens of thousands of people buy and sell homes. I would like to help you too. If you already are a subscriber, thank you and welcome back. If you're not a subscriber, please consider becoming one now. We offer the most thorough and accurate housing market reports on YouTube, plus answers to your real estate frequently asked questions, and we also provide virtual tours of some of the most beautiful homes in Tallahassee. Simply hit subscribe to get started and the bell so you're the most informed buyer or seller in your next real estate transaction. The housing market in 2020 performed as expected despite a global pandemic that slowed summer sales. The Fed's move to drop interest rates restored demand, and by the end of the year, the market was up a solid 2% over the previous year. As we start the 2021 calendar year, there are two opposing market forces that make this forecast difficult to produce. On one hand, the demand for homes is very strong due to historic low mortgage interest rates. On the other hand, the supply of homes is near historic low levels too, due to several factors that have caused builders to underproduce new homes for our growing market over the past 4 years. So demand is high, but inventory is low. Buyers are having a difficult time finding a suitable home. These conflicting market forces represent the biggest variables that will determine how the 2021 housing market fares. In order to guide you through the process I used for this forecast, I will begin with a summary of what transpired in 2020, move through current market conditions, and then we'll conclude with a forecast for home sales in 2021. So just how hot is the demand in this market? This graph plots the number of homes sold each year, the Tallahassee MLS from 2002 through 2020, and shows that 2020 trailed only the boom years from 2004 through 2006 for the number of homes sold. Despite the fear and uncertainty generated by the global pandemic, the housing market managed to rise more than 2% in 2020, just as we forecast back in April. With a shout out to Ron Rice, who first voiced this expectation back in March of 2020, the buyers who opted out in the spring and early summer came back to the market in the fourth quarter. This graph shows how each month's sales compared with the same month the year prior. We refer to this as the year-over-year home sales report. Year-over-year home sales comparisons provide insight into the market changes by removing the impact of seasonality from the sales figures. Year-over-year home sales rose more than 13% in December, registering the fourth straight month of gains and growth in 5 out of the past 6 months. I think it's fair to say that the market finished strong in 2020. These past two graphs help us understand the demand side of the housing market, and it's apparent that demand is strong but reasonable. We are still seeing lower sales than we did during the speculative period of 2004 through 2006, yet our population has grown. This growth in population should produce more home sales, thus today's demand levels are good but reasonably safe. Before we examine the current state of the supply and demand in the housing market, let's take a quick look at the supply of homes that entered the market in 2020 and in previous years. This graph counts the number of fresh existing homes entering the market. The term fresh is used to identify these homes as new to the market, not having been recently listed prior, and existing refers to the fact that we have omitted new home construction from this graph. But don't worry, we'll also look at the new homes too. The number of fresh listings entering the market declined by 7% in 2020, even though sales rose. Remember, more than one-half of all home buyers in Tallahassee have a home to sell when they move, so we expect a rise in sales to result in a rise of listings too. That was not the case. I believe there were several hundred sellers who opted out of the market in 2020 who will be listing their homes early this year. We could very well have a strong run on existing inventory streaming into the market any time now. This would be super healthy for our market, as the current low inventory conditions are pushing appreciation far too high right now. But existing homes are only part of the market. We also need to look at what the builders have been doing. Much like the previous graph, which showed fresh listings on the resale side of the housing market, this graph shows the new construction listings entering the market. New construction was up 44% in 2020, helping to bring much needed inventory to the market. But was it enough? To answer this, we need to examine the relative supply of homes for sale. The relative supply is the supply of homes for sale relative to the current rate of demand, and it's measured in months of supply. This table shows the non-seasonal relative supply of homes for sale. It segments the market by area and price range, displaying the months of supply of homes for sale for each. For our new viewers, a relative supply of 6 months is considered a balanced market, where neither sellers nor buyers have an advantage. When the relative supply of homes for sale drops below 6 months of supply, we refer to this as a seller's market, as there are more buyers than sellers. The opposite is true when the relative supply of homes for sale rises above 6 months of supply, where sellers outnumber buyers. The red shaded area shows sellers' market conditions, while the orange shaded areas highlight buyers' market conditions. Overall, the entire market is in a seller's market, as are homes priced below $550,000. There are pockets in each quadrant that have buyers' market conditions. The takeaway from this table is that the relative supply of homes at 3.4 months of supply is far too low for the demand in the market. We need more inventory. If builders do not ramp up production, we will see double-digit appreciation on existing homes in 2021. Now, moving forward to address our forecast for the 2021 housing market, let's acknowledge what we've learned so far. The demand for homes is up, while the supply of homes for sale is down. These conflicting market forces have resulted in home prices and values moving higher at a rapid rate of progression. So where does this leave us for 2021? The big variables for the housing market in 2021 include the impact of the pandemic on jobs, the change in mortgage interest rates, and the influx of new listings of homes for sale. It seems like everybody has an opinion on how well the pandemic is being managed and what we should expect in 2021. Unfortunately, this falls outside of my expertise, but I do believe that we will be dealing with COVID far beyond 2021. The pandemic will have an impact on our economy, and that means jobs for many industries will continue to be at risk for the foreseeable future. While this video is specific to the Tallahassee area, you should know that there will be pockets around the U.S. with housing markets that differ from what this forecast projects. Tallahassee's primary employer is the state and federal government, so our economy is a lot less volatile than those that are centered around commerce. The big headlines on YouTube, for real estate anyway, claim a housing bust that will happen in 2021. But I think the majority of those reports stem from video creators seeking viewers, not so much from factual evidence. That's why I really tried to use the facts and common sense to guide this forecast. Anybody who uses 2006 as a reference to the current market conditions does not study supply and demand, and therefore is likely to miss the boat completely. I have posted real estate market forecasts on the Tallahassee Real Estate blog each year for the Tallahassee housing market going back to 2007. Generally speaking, I've been spot on these looks into the crystal ball, but 2021 is different. 2021 is the most difficult forecast that I've prepared, as the variables that will determine its fate are far more volatile than they've been in the past. In order to help provide clarity on this point, I will address each of these variables and then conclude with my forecast for 2021. This graph shows just how low current mortgage rates have dropped, and I'll explain exactly what it means to the housing market. More than 50 years of monthly mortgage interest rates are plotted in blue in this graph, and this is a perfect example of where a picture is worth 1,000 words. The yellow dashed line shows today's current rate, while the solid yellow line shows the 50-year average. Today's rates are so low that home affordability has improved even during the huge price and value growth observed in the market. So how does this impact our forecast? I believe our fallen economy needed the Fed to keep interest rates low to help businesses recover from the impact of the pandemic. I also believe this will be the case in 2021 and likely 2022 as well. I also believe that mortgage interest rates will generally follow the Fed's move on the Fed funds rate, meaning if the Fed cuts rates, mortgage interest rates will eventually come down too. With that being said, I find it hard to believe we will see mortgage interest rates rise substantially this year. If I were to have to place a bet, I would expect more rate cuts at least through mid-2021. So low mortgage interest rates, which are currently fueling heightened demand in the housing market, are not likely going away anytime soon. As I make my forecast for 2021, I'm doing so assuming rates will stay below 3.25% for all of 2021. This means that people who are financially healthy will be motivated to buy homes with this cheap source of funds, so I forecast strong demand in 2021. This graph serves to help us evaluate the current supply side of the housing market. What it shows is that there are not enough homes for sale in Tallahassee, which is also true in most other U.S. housing markets. We need more sellers to enter the market. This graph shows the average number of listings in each price range in red, the average monthly number of sales in green, and then plots the relative supply of homes for sale in blue. The middle of the market is the hottest, and it's where more homes are most needed. I have the middle outlined in blue above, and with its price being south of $250,000, this creates a big problem. Builders can't deliver a $250,000 home to the market. They're struggling to stay below $300,000 right now. Yet this is exactly what the market needs. The big challenge for builders will be to deliver the inventory the market needs at prices the market can afford. Additionally, we need to see the pent-up supply, those people who chose not to sell during the pandemic, stream back into the market as early as possible this year. The key to understanding the supply side of the market rests in the understanding that builders will be the solution to the problem. Whenever a new home is built, it adds one unit to the supply of homes for sale and has no impact on the demand side. The same is not true for existing homes, though. When an existing home is added to the market, it adds one home to the supply side, but it most often adds one buyer to the demand side, as the homeowner who sells the home must buy one too. So I do believe there is some pent-up supply in the existing market, but I know that there is corresponding pent-up demand that comes with it. Only builders can truly add to the inventory shortage in our market. Builders are doing very well right now, but I suspect many are concerned about a housing market collapse, and they do not want to overbuild like what was done in 2006 through 2007. Unfortunately, this fear has caused the production of new homes to fall short of the market needs by a factor of 2 or more in 2020. Builders can comfortably deliver 1,500 new homes to the market in 2021, which is more than double the production from last year. Unfortunately, this likely won't be the case, as there are too many reports and warnings from fake news claiming the housing market will collapse in 2021. So let's look at the foundation of these claims. I have seen videos and read articles where people are projecting a housing market collapse in 2021, fueled by lost jobs and people losing their homes to foreclosure. While this might seem like a realistic scenario if you have a good memory of the market from 2006 through 2012, today's facts make this highly unlikely. If the market is going to melt down, there are many steps that will need to occur before any foreclosure crisis hits us. The first thing that we'll see is a slow growth of distressed homes hitting the market. Currently, we're seeing the opposite of this. When we examine all home sales each year, with healthy arm's length sales plotted in green and distressed home sales plotted in red, the trend shows the market is improving greatly. The black line shows that the percentage of all home sales that are distressed. We saw a high of 38% back in 2012, but saw the market improve each year to a new low of 1.4% in 2020. Unlike the market in 2008, when distressed homes were coming in and home values were plunging due to the oversupply of homes for sale, 2021 is starting from an undersupplied inventory position. Additionally, a lot of equity was lost from the market when foreclosures were rampant from 2010 through 2015. But today's market has a significant equity buildup and a strong demand for homes, so initial foreclosures will be consumed fast and not put a burden on the market. I do believe that there are local markets around the U.S. that will face some tough times. Certain industries are faring poorly, and it sadly will mean some localities will face unhealthy growth of distressed properties that demand will not be able to consume until prices are run down and jobs return. But this will be the exception, not the rule, and it will likely not occur in 2021. The pandemic has resulted in political responses that serve to help people retain their homes. Additionally, the mortgage industry learned valuable lessons when they took substantial losses due to the massive foreclosure actions from 15 years ago. I believe the mortgage industry will be more inclined to work with current homeowners who have strong past credit histories. While the collapse of the housing market is always a possibility, it does not make it a probability. For this reason, those that are calling for a collapse or a bubble bursting or a foreclosure crisis are incredibly premature, if not completely wrong. With all of that being said, we now have reached the end of the video, where I will share my forecast for the 2021 housing market. I believe the market will grow, buoyed by low mortgage interest rates and increased builder output. I think the upside of the housing market has a whole lot of variables working in its favor, while the downside has few. I would expect to see 3% to 8% growth in unit sales, and appreciation will likely hit double digits in 2021. If you are happy in the home you are in, you should evaluate some refinancing options as rates move even lower in the first half of the year. If you think you'll likely want a different home within the next few years, you should strongly consider biting the bullet now and making the move. While this might sound self-serving coming from a real estate broker, and it is, I would have you consider the fact that the way mortgage interest rates and home prices are moving, you probably won't be able to finance a larger home in the future. Today, you can buy that more expensive home at a lower price, financed with cheaper money than you'll be able to do in 5 years. Remember, the average mortgage interest rate today is less than 1/2 of its 50-year average, and you have to believe that these low rates will not last for several more years. So that's my forecast for the 2021 housing market. You can tell me why I'm crazy in the comment section below. If you would like to see more videos about current housing market conditions, I have assembled a great playlist that you can view by clicking on the box on the top left corner of your screen. For a playlist of top tips for home sellers, just click on the box below it. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.